ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to Birkenhead War Memorial Park. We're here live for Northcote up against Richmond today. We're very shortly going to be joined by Jeff Morden, coach of the Northcote Tigers, and we'll take you out to the reserve grade game, which is going on as well. A bit of a thriller going on here. So now I'm going to welcome in Jeff Morden as we come in for the first time this year. Well, Jeff, travelling pretty nicely so far. I think second on the table with a couple of wins. What's your assessment of the opening fortnight?
Yeah, it's been interesting. They've performed well in patches. We have the occasional drop-off. Like first game up, we struggled against Mango. Just too many mistakes. We're making good yards and everything else coming out of our end, but forcing things that we shouldn't have been forcing. That's probably a little bit to do with a limited lead-in. But no, it's starting to come right now.
A couple of familiar faces back, Xavier Rice and Trent Schomkel. What have those guys brought back to the squad?
Yeah, we're running X off the bench at the minute. He's sort of doing a little bit of job for us where he comes on and sort of relieves Josiah from the hook and roll. Then he'll switch back to Lucy normally, and his defence for a small guy, his defensive work rate and tech's second to none. So he gives us that. Trent's just a big body, mate, and he's done some really good things for us. He's got a bit of footwork going with him now, so he's doing really, really well.
Obviously a very unique pre-season, if we can call it that, over the last month or so. How have you found that in terms of conditioning and those sorts of things?
Yeah, it's meant that we're sitting on 6 injuries already at the minute after 2 weeks, which is a lot of that's to do with the fact that there was very limited lead-in. Normally when we're sort of getting 2 or 3 months, we only had 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah, it's had an impact, and I presume it's had probably an impact right across every team. It's a matter of just working through it now. As I said, they're starting to get their fitness levels up, so hopefully, touch wood, nothing too severe happens at this today.
Pretty new look Richmond team you take on today. What are you expecting to come up against in the shape of Richmond, just given the guys that they have brought in?
By the looks of them, there's a lot of youngsters. They'll be enthusiastic. There'll be nothing. They won't want to stop. They'll just keep coming. We've just got to be smart with what we do today. We've got to make sure that we get to complete our sets, get to our kicks, and just put pressure on them, and hopefully make them make mistakes. But mate, they'll be good. I watched a bit of their footage last night of the Otahu game. And, I was quite impressed. So we know what's coming.
Excellent. All right, Jeff, thanks for joining us. We'll let you go and finish warming the team up. All the best today.
Thanks. Cheers.
Joined by Junior Few from the Richmond Bulldogs. Well, Junior, without a win through the first 2 weeks, but some promising signs by all accounts. What's your summary of the first fortnight?
Yeah, I mean, that first game, Otahu, was a good introduction to the Fox of a lot of these young boys. And I thought we improved better against Glenora. I thought there were a lot of opportunities we just didn't take, but hopefully today we'll address it today.
It is a very young side. Did you sort of expect it might take a few weeks for it to click?
Yep, definitely. Just getting used to the physicality of playing against older men for some of these young boys, but I think we have to be smarter as well, the way we play, adjust our game.
A few players in here who local fans might not be too familiar with, so tell us a little bit about some of the players to watch out for. Obviously, Sione Moala stands out for me. We've called him in the College Rugby League. What does he bring to the side?
Sione, he brings that experience playing Warriors SG ball, and I think Temple's been pretty good too, up the middle.
Excellent. I'm not sure if you've caught any of what Northcote have done. Obviously 2 wins through the opening fortnight. Probably a pretty similar squad to that you've faced in recent years, so what are you expecting from the Tigers?
Just looking at the side they've chosen, there's plenty of speed out wide, so we've just got to keep an eye out for that. And they've got a handy prop as well in Trent Schomkel. So.
What's been the major, work on for you this week after that Glenora match?
Just holding the ball. We didn't complete too well against Glenora, so yeah, it's been our main focus.
Excellent. All right, Junior, thanks for joining us, and on behalf of the Auckland Rugby League, all the very best today.
Good, thank you.
We're going to send you out now to the reserve grade game, and before we resume with our coverage, building up to the kick-off of Northcote versus Richmond.
Welcome back, everybody, and my name's Troy Huddy with the Auckland Rugby League, and joining me now is Liz Lees. Have I got that right?
Correct.
Yeah, cool. And Liz, you're the new chairman at Northcote Tigers. Tell us how's that going during COVID-19? What a way to come in.
It's certainly been an interesting start to the season. Really challenging for all of our families as much as anything else. COVID was so uncertain. People were really frightened about their children and their families. So we worked really hard to support our families, and they've come through it. And now we've got one of our biggest crowds out here today for local rugby league, and it's really nice to see. We're really pleased. Rugby league's all about supporting the community, and that's what we're here for. Everyone's having a great day. Let's have lots more of it.
Awesome. And being new to the role, how are you finding that as being chairman?
Yeah, it's an interesting, I've got the best committee ever. They're really, really supportive, lots of experience there. So I'm just coming in more to help with the governance, go along to the ARL, who've been amazing this season, supporting all of our clubs. Thanks very much to the ARL for all of their support. They've been great. And so I just really get to listen, talk, find the solutions and work with everyone. So it's been really a lot easier than I imagined.
Awesome. Look, and I know with every club, you know, outside of having good members and good volunteers, you know, sponsorship, how hard's that been for you? Is there more opportunities to have sponsors here at the Tigers, and is there anyone you want to give some love to?
Oh look, our sponsors have been fantastic, and in particular our major sponsors, North Harbour Reinforcing, and all of the other sponsors who have got their names all over our shirts and all over our gear. We're always looking for more sponsors because we're a sports club, but we're really, really lucky that we've had the support of these sponsors for many years, so thanks so much to them all. And the Lion Foundation, of course, have stepped in at interesting times where they haven't had a lot of money to give out, so we're thankful for every donation that we get.
I also understand, you know, this morning we got down here bright and early, and as you said, you know, the grounds are looking fantastic. But junior football, you had a few junior teams down here playing. How's that shaped up, you know, coming into, you know, sort of a disjointed 2020 season? And if somebody was wanting to play, who would they contact? How would they go about joining the Tigers?
So our junior teams were uncertain. Parents were quite frightened about what would happen if we were allowed to have contact sports at all this season. And then once it became apparent that we've got on top of COVID in New Zealand, they've come out and it's been fantastic. We've got lots of junior teams, but we're always happy to take more kids on. We've got a website. Go to Northcote Tigers and find us on the website. You'll find the contact details, or on Facebook. Yep. And yeah, we're really lucky to have lots of lovely young players. Auckland Council, I was going to say North Harbour, have been really supportive of us with our fields this year, helping us look after them and have that ability to look after them, and we're really pleased with how we can work with the council on that.
And finally, just in regards to home games down here at Birkenhead War Memorial, not just for today's game, but for every home game that you have during the course of the season, if a fan was in the neighbourhood and wanted to come down, what could they expect? You know, do you have after-match function? Is the bar open? Is anyone having a green tea?
Yes, we certainly cater for all people there. It's been a little bit of a difficult season to start off with, but next week the full bar facilities and food will be there for everyone, and moving forward in the future we're hoping to make improvements on all of those facilities, and yeah.
Awesome. Well, look, I know I've kidnapped you, Lee. There's a big day ahead in regards to, you know, the main game that's coming up at 2:30, so don't go away too far, folks. And who's your pick today?
Northcote all the way.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, don't go too far away. Corey Rossiter will be back with the main call for today. Looking forward to the kick-off at 2:30.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in. We are live from Birkenhead War Memorial Park for today's live stream match between the Northcote Tigers and the Richmond Bulldogs. We've got the reserve game going on in front of us here, and it's turning out to be a little bit of a thriller. And just as we say that, off screen, Northcote go over for what could well be the winning try. It's 30-26 to the Tigers right now. Been a pretty good game, this reserve grade game try. I know we've caught a little bit of it, and nice to see a few familiar faces as the siren goes out there. Dylan Moses taking the field, and a few familiar faces in the Richmond side as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great seeing Dylan out there. I think he's doing the player coach type role and guiding some of the younger players here at Northcote. The ground's looking fantastic, mate. I know some of the crew got council down here with the tractor with the big spike action happening, because I think on Monday, Tuesday the ground was looking pretty heavy, but today it's looking pretty sharp. Looks like a fast track, so I think we'll be in for a good game. Yeah,
and just having a walk across it, obviously there's the cricket pitch, which you'll be able to make out on the pictures there. That is noticeably harder obviously than the rest of the field. It is a little bit spongy in spots, but in pretty good nick, considering we have had a fair bit of rain over the last few weeks, so everything's set for what should be a really good game with two quality sides assembled. We're going to talk through some of the games that are on today and talk you through the ladders as we build towards kick-off, and then of course run you through the team list. So we'll start with the women's competition, the Farrelly Photos women's competitions, and we had our first game last night, Friday night footy back at Felds Park. Mount Albert Lions taking on Ponsonby. Ponsonby getting up for a good win. I think it was 34-6 in that one over the Mount Albert Lions, and tomorrow from 2 p.m. you can catch Papakura up against Manurewa at Prince Edward Park. And in the championship, that's the second tier of the Farrelly Photos women's competitions. Glenora take on Manukau at Harold Moody Reserve. Pukekohe take on Otahu at Navigation Stadium, and at Ngāti Otara Park, the Otara Scorpions take on the Te Arata Roosters, the defending champions in that competition. So plenty of footy on the Sunday, and of course now you may be tuning in from the sideline of another game, and the game's taking place today in the Crown Lift Trucks Fox Championship. The Ellerslie Eagles take on the Papatoetoe Panthers. Tough start to the season for the Ellerslie Eagles, sitting down near the foot of the ladder, but Troy, they'll be eyeing this one as a chance to bounce back and start to generate some momentum this year.
Absolutely. Got the opportunity to talk to TJ, their head coach, this morning, and he was feeling fairly confident. They're happy at where they're at, third week in, and had a positive outlook. So I know that he'll be looking for the W today.
Manukau Magpies, who are travelling nicely, they take on the Hibiscus Coast Raiders, who come off a good victory over Manurewa last week. That's at Moyle Park. All of these games at 2:30 p.m, by the way. Otara Scorpions take on Pakuranga. That should be a good game. I know there's plenty of boys who have played for both clubs there, so somewhat of a derby game there. And another good one out at Ranui Domain. The Waitemata Seagulls taking on the Manurewa Marlins, and another team probably similar to the Ellerslie Eagles. Certainly probably had a slower start to the season than they would have hoped without a victory so far. That's a big game for them at the Ranui Domain.
Yeah, and I think to be fair, Manurewa were probably not meeting expectation at the moment. And, they too will be hunting their first W. And that said, I think Ranui Domain's a hard one to get a win, and I'm pretty sure the Waitemata Seagulls will be up for that one.
Running through results from last week, and it was the Otara Scorpions who got up 22-16 over the Ellerslie Eagles. Manukau 14-4 winners over Pakuranga. Waitemata 14, Papatoetoe 6, and the Hibiscus Coast, as I mentioned earlier, good win over Manurewa 34-28. So that's how things look in terms of the results. We'll now go to the draw for the first division, the SAS Fox Memorial Premiership, and some really good games on this weekend. Obviously, we're here for Northcote versus Richmond, but a couple of mouth-watering clashes on as well. Otahu take on Mount Albert. Now, we haven't seen Otahu in the flesh this year, but everything we hear as we talk to people is that this is a really sharp squad, and we know from previous years that it's been a team that's been improving year on year.
Absolutely, and be remiss not to mention that I took some liberties this morning, Corey, and I rang Connor Purcell, and I asked him how do they reckon they were going to track today against the Mount Albert Lions. And he said, yep, no, they're really confident and they're looking forward to taking the win on that one. Then I thought, well, I'll ring Aidan Acklin and get his viewpoint on that from Mount Albert. And Aidan was a little bit more structured in the reply in regards to it's going to be a tough game. They're travelling really well. It's going to be, and at their home ground. Well, I said to him, well, Connor reckons that he's going to tip you over today. And he said, is that right? Well, then we're going to thrash them. So, good banter by the boys, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be, a fantastic match. If you're in the hood, get down there to Mount Richmond or Bert Henman Park, depending what age you are, and catch some real good footy.
Yeah, it should be a really, really good game. So if possible, we'll bring you updates on how that's tracking there. Another good game is Glenora up against Howick. Now, that should be a really good game. The Howick Hornets, obviously defending champions in this competition, and Glenora, perennial heavyweights, have been there or thereabouts every year in recent memory. Te Atatū are at home to the Maris Saints. They come off a big victory over Mangere East last week. Papakura play host to Bay Roskill at Prince Edward Park, and Mangere East take on Point Chevalier. Now, Troy, we called Mangere East last weekend. It was a comfortable victory in the end for Te Atatū, but some real sort of glimpses of brilliance in that Mangere East team if they can just string it together a bit more consistently.
Yeah, well, they'll need to in regards to heading off to play Pirates. I think Pirates are travelling pretty well at the moment, so that's going to be a tough day in the office for them, and they'll want to complete and really sort of up the ante from last weekend's game. And
we'll just update you on the results from last week in case you haven't been in and around the scores. Mount Albert, they retained the Root Rooster with a 32-18 victory over Bay Roskill. Glenora grind past Richmond 14-4. Te Atatū did it pretty comfortable in the end, 40-18 over Mangere East in our live stream game. Northcote 30-10 winners over Marist. Otahu 34-10 over the Howick Hornets, and of course Point Chevalier was a win by default over Papakura. I guess the one that stands out there, Troy, Otahu getting up 34-10 over the Howick Hornets. Bit of a statement victory there for the Leopards.
Absolutely, and the spread on the points there sort of indicates how good they are travelling, because by no mean feat Howick are a tough team and they've got a good roster. And, the defending champions from 2019 sort of got out of the blocks a little bit slow this season.
All right, we're going to bring up the competition ladders now, and I think we'll start with the Farrelly Photos Women's Championship if we can, and we'll talk you through how things are looking in all of the competitions that we cover, all of the senior competitions. You can see on screen the Richmond Bulldogs warming up there. So after one round, it is the defending champions of Te Atatū Roosters who sit up top, along with Otahu, and then the next group down, the Otara Scorpions, who... I think there's probably been an error there on that ladder. I think Manukau should be up and on 2 points, so maybe we had a delay on that, but Manukau will be on 2 points after getting up over Pukekohe. Glenora, Pukekohe and Otara then in the bottom three. We'll take you now to the Farrelly Photos Women's Premiership. That's the top flight of the women's competition, and at the top it is the Manurewa Marlins, Ponsonby Ponies, Papakura Richmond and Mount Albert, and again I think there may be some accuracy issues with that ladder, so we'll get that fixed for next time. But anyway, moving now to the men's competitions and the Crown Lift Trucks Fox Championship. There's the Manukau Magpies sitting on top, the Otara Scorpions tucked in just behind, Papatoetoe, who have made a bit of a resurgence, probably struggled in more recent years, Troy, but great to see the Panthers doing well this year.
Yeah, absolutely, and Hibiscus just tucked in behind them. They've got a couple of scalps. So when you look at the ladder there, Manukau on top of that young roster, great start to the Fox Memorial Championship.
Hibiscus Coast nestled in just behind on 2 points after that win over Manurewa, Waitamata, Pakuranga, and then rounding out the bottom, the only two teams without a victory so far, Manurewa and Ellerslie. Of course, they can change that today with their trips to take on both the Waitamata Seagulls and the Papatoetoe Panthers. So that's how things look in the second division. We'll take you now to the first division, the SAS Fox Memorial Premiership. Up top, it's the Point Chevalier Pirates. Northcote nestled in just behind after two good victories. The Glenora Bears sitting in third. Otahu fourth. Te Atatū fifth with 2 wins. Mount Albert Lions sixth. And then the bottom half of the competition, all yet to register a victory. So we've got the top half who have won all their games. The bottom half who are yet to pick one up so far. Richmond, Howick, Papakura, Bay Roskill, Mangere East and Marist. And already you can see there a little bit of a divide starting to form. Remember, there's a top 5 this year rather than a top 4. So it looks like it will be super competitive, particularly for that back end there. But I guess for those teams yet to lodge a victory, Troy, it's a pretty short season. You want to get going pretty quickly.
Yeah, and we sort of alluded to that at the beginning of the season. There's one round, every game counts, and you can't dilly-dally. So as you've rightly said, losing 2 points in a very short, compressed season is certainly going to put a lot of teams under pressure. And I think also, too, the aggregate's going to play a lot in this. You know, if we have a look there, how many teams are actually on 4 points and what the spread is, that's going to come in to be a big factor as well.
So that concludes our roundup of around the grounds, I guess, and we're now not far from kick-off here at Birkenhead War Memorial Park. A pretty nice day for footy. It's overcast, but it looks like the rain will hold off, which is the main thing. Our match officials in the middle. Shout out to the Auckland Referees Association. Our middle referee today, Anthony Elliott. Maxine Godney's got the line along with Corey Jewell. If you are interested in becoming a referee, the details for that are available on aucklandleague.co.nz, or you can check out the ARL Refs website or their Facebook page. Some good courses available on the online learning tab for the Auckland Rugby League now as well. Just go to the website, click on online learning. There's a whole lot of stuff there for coaches, referees and administrators as well. And just looking over the Northcote team list, Troy, which we'll talk to in a minute, but they get a couple of really good players back. Trent Schomkel, one in particular, who was really at the forefront of their rise from, I guess, strugglers to genuine contenders. He's back in the squad, and Xavier Rice as well, who adds plenty off the bench. You would expect that those two will have a pretty big role to play today.
Yeah, look, to be fair, Northcote really started 2019 with a fantastic run, and you know, again this season they're mirroring that, and they've certainly got a fantastic roster with a number of their young players back, and you know, sort of into it and looking forward to playing footy.
All right, we'll bring up the team list now and run you through how they will take the field, because we are going to have a minute's silence before this one. So the teams are perfectly as named, and it is Machu Stone Dunn who will play fullback for the North City Reinforcing Limited Northcote Tigers. Waterson and Waka are the wingers. There's two experienced and pretty lethal wingers attacking-wise. Smith and Pili will be the centres. Tiaho will captain the side from the number 6 jersey, playing the halves with Morgan, Timoti, Cook. Watch for Schomkel up in the front row, Matthew Tafotu as well. Nalu Tuigamala joins McIntyre and Tapau in the back row. And the bench, Xavier Rice, Liam Lonergan, Robert Tapau and Kevin Locke. Moving now to the Waterview Laundromat Richmond Bulldogs. Setu 2 is the fullback. Edward Cossey, he's got plenty of pace in the centres. Jeremiah Potu is the other winger. Anthony Melisia Murray and Sione Moala will form the halves combination. Sione Moala, such a talented player. He'll be really good to watch today. Of course, come through the St. Paul's College system, and we've called him in the SAS College Rugby League in recent years. Lemafa and Sutton are the front row. Matty Tuitama back from Point Chevalier. Adds plenty of experience to the back row. Lafaeli will captain on side from Locke. And the bench is Annandale, Pessy, Mills and Alfire. So that is how the two teams will take the field. Jeff Morden, the coach of the Northcote Tigers, and Junior Fiu, the coach of the Richmond Bulldogs. You can see there the reserves making their way off field, coached by Dylan Moses, I think, this year, and Cody Walker, who's, I guess, got a player coach role. Dylan actually had a really good game out there today, and great to catch up with Cody Walker as well earlier. And Troy, it's I guess good to see. We've called these guys on the field for the last few years. It's great to see these guys giving back via coaching and in some cases refereeing as well, and staying involved in the game.
Absolutely, and you know, and what a wealth of talent to be able to have. You know, still stick around the club, help the young guys as they come through. Just, you know, really good to see, mate.
So not far until kick-off now. The two teams have been given a rather impatient reminder to make their way out to the field. Still about 3 minutes away from the official kick-off by our count. This is a fairly well new look Richmond side to that which we've called over the last couple of years. But as I mentioned, there are some real genuine attacking weapons in here. Setu 2, who is a gun at the back. We know him more as a winger from his time at Otahu and playing in the Warriors Cup side, but he'll run around at fullback today. Cossey, who I highlighted when the team lists are up, and Sione Moala as well. Temple Kalipo, he'll add plenty of energy from the bottom of the ruck. Northcote side, well, you know, if Richmond's new look, Northcote's pretty well, as we've seen over the last few years. Josiah Afu, similar to Kalipo, nice and quick out of dummy half. He was their player of the year based off 3-2-1s at the Auckland Rugby League last year. And it's a good four-pack as well. Trent Schomkel, Nalu Tuigamala leading from the front, Matthew Tafotu as well, and of course Eddie Finota, who's still got to come back into it. He's carrying a bit of a niggle right now. Saw him in the sheds there, so he'll add plenty when he returns as well.
I think young David Barner, I say young David Barner is carrying a hammy and is out for today, and who knew that David had a hammy.
There you go. How much did he pay you to call him young as well?
Yeah.
It's great to see David Barner in action during the player catch-ups that you did during lockdown as well, Troy. Had a good laugh there. It's great to see, I guess. You know, we see the competitive side of the boys out here and the serious side on Saturdays, but great to see the more light-hearted side as well.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I mean, world pandemic, who knew? COVID-19, but to be able to spend a bit of time with the boys, you know, we did David Barner and young Nalu, and young Nalu couldn't have wished for anything better, Corey. He was a newlywed, and then basically got told to stay home for 60 days, so he was kind of happy with that. As we see Richmond and Northcote onto the screen now, and just in the right-hand side lower hem of the Northcote jersey is a sort of a shout-out to young Tony, which we're going to have a minute's silence for, and you know, young fellow that passed away, brother to Dizzy, and there's sort of remembrance for him, nicknamed Bulldog. They got a little bulldog down there on their jersey, which is kind of a cool thing to do.
Yeah, and he's really part of the furniture down here, wasn't he? Every time you come down, you're greeted with a warm smile and a wave. So, yeah, look, certainly it's something that's rocked the club. So a moment's silence now. It looks like they're just going through a couple of formalities there before we pause for a moment's silence, and plenty of family, I think, making their way onto the field as well. So this is a really nice touch here from the Northcote Tigers.
There's Mike Phillips that was getting all the family on there with the Northcote as we get ready to remember young Tony.
So there we go, minute's silence for Bulldog. Our thoughts, of course, with the family and friends. As the two teams now huddle up, and we are not far from kickoff. Northcote rocking the new look jersey, which I think from speaking to Mike was inspired by sort of a historic jersey worn by the Tigers. Richmond in the familiar colours with Waterview Laundromat proudly on the front there, and a big shout out to Devesh, who I caught up with just a couple of weeks ago. Devesh from Waterview Laundromat, great supporter of local rugby league. He sponsors 5 or 6 different Auckland Rugby League clubs, I think, and is a loyal sponsor of our game, and particularly through these tough times we must acknowledge these people. So thank you, Devesh, and of course all of the Northcote sponsors who we'll touch on as we go throughout this game. All right, it's going to be Northcote kicking towards the road end here at Birkenhead War Memorial Park. And underway we go, off the boot of Morgan Tamoti Cook. Fielded in by Moala. And Richmond get to work. Yet to pick up a victory through the opening fortnight, but they've been there or thereabouts. Right in the match against Otahu in round 1 before being overcome late. They picked up a couple of nasty injuries in that game, particularly Siave Tupo, who suffered a bad leg injury. Dislocated the joints connecting the leg to the ankle there. There was no break as such, but had to go in for some surgery that night. So Siave, if you're watching, hope you're recovering well, mate, and back on the field sooner rather than later. Tuitama fighting hard for the quick play of the ball. And Richmond get to their first kick at the back to clean it up. And then driven back as well. Good kick chase from Richmond. That's a nice little start from the Bulldogs. Junior Few will be happy with that as Timothy Cook jumps into dummy half and links with James Waterson, who we thought we'd lost to Australia, but back in the Auckland competition this year. And back to his usual try-scoring best. Picked up a couple in the opening week, and I think 1 or 2 last week as well. Afu comes centre field and links with Schonkel. Isn't he a big in for the Tigers? Gets a nice offload away as well. And up over halfway now, Northcote. Tiaho to Tuigamala. Quick hands to Casey Smith. Smith now looking to isolate Waterson. Waterson goes down the right-hand side, heads back infield. Great cover from Richmond. They're not far off, though, the Tigers. Smith is a dummy half. Comes back towards the middle of the park. It's Tiaho who will kick. Looked to be a little scuffed off the boot. The cameraman's lost the ball for the time being, but it's gone dead anyway. And Richmond now out for the restart of play, but good opening sets from both teams. Troy, they'll take plenty of confidence from that.
Absolutely. Both disciplined, both got their sets away, and good kicks, so a little bit of pressure from both sides.
So Richmond now rucking this ball forward. It's a fairly young Richmond side. I guess the most experienced campaigners, likes of
Got the ball away.
Tuitama, and outside of that, there's a whole lot of guys in their 20s or even teenage years. Setu 2 jumps out. Comes back centre field. This is Lafaeli, the captain. Tackle still up their sleeve here. Moala goes to the line. Dinks over the top. It's hit the upright. And not too sure really what the thinking was on that one. If it hadn't hit the upright, it looked like it was sailing dead. So an interesting option that time, but Northcote back out to the 20 to restart.
Yeah, probably had a little bit of weight on it. And Richmond will be looking to contain them down here.
Machu Stone Dunn, the former Richmond Bulldog himself. I'm sure he'll be relishing coming up against some of his former teammates. There's a few boys who have played for both teams out on the field today. Harrison Sutton is another one. Afu comes infield. Waka. And knock on is the call. So Richmond ball, first error of the game. It comes loose from Waka, who's nursing some pretty heavy strapping around the head area there. Not too sure what the story is there. So scrum to pack down, 5 metres inside the Richmond attacking half. Moala will feed. Kalipo retrieves and heads out to the left. Offload and appeals of knock on, and they are granted. So it took us 4 minutes to get our first error, and then about 4 seconds of the ball being in play after that to get our second error. So the scrum to pack down pretty well exactly where the last one did. Number of players on the field today who are signed to NRL systems as well. Like Sir Caleb Pesce, who's over with the Manly Sea Eagles. Temple Kalipo. Casey Smith as well, who's been in that Warriors system. Machu Stone Dunn. Played Cup a couple of years ago as we get a penalty, and it's going to go the way of Northcote. 5 minutes gone, and the Tigers with the first real attacking opportunity of this game. They're going to kick for touch. And Afu will put them well and truly inside the 40, and a chance to put together an attacking set here. It's interesting to see the makeup of the edge today. They've got Walker out on the wing. Waterson out here on the right with Casey Smith and Nalu Tuigamala. That has tended to be their favoured edge in recent times, with Tiaho as well, as Timothy Cook goes to the line, links with his back rower and McIntyre. Not far off now, the Tigers. Afu swings it way out the back, goes to Tiaho. Tiaho to Tuigamala to Smith. Smith with a little bit of footwork, pops the ball. Waterson has to throw it back in, but it's going to be knocked on. And Richmond will survive. Waterson just not able to come up with the biscuit on that occasion. And Richmond now to pack down the scrum, about 10 metres off their own line. Nicely done that time by Richmond, scrambled across really nicely, and already it looks like that Northcote right edge is going to cause some trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the old campaigners, the ones that are sneaking in around there, and it's obviously Nalu's favourite side. That said, though, as you said, Richmond scrambled really well there and managed to contain that assault.
Shout out to the team watching down at Austin's Bar and Bistro in Te Araha. Sure they'll be sharing a couple of orange juices as the game goes on there. Kalipo comes back infield. Tuigamala and Afu involved in the tackle. We've got the Glenfield Greyhounds watching as well. Simon Watson and the crew at Sunnysnook Park, the new look Sunnysnook Park. The new flashlights in field. Richmond making good yardage now as they go up over halfway. Kalipo, the dummy half, goes out to his left. It's Moala. They're on front foot ball here. Moala held it up and James Waterson picked it up. And it's just as well they were equally as quick to close that down there. Tuitama straight on him. It could have been trouble. Tafutu charges back up over the half. Tuigamala. Ball's come out. Was that stripped?
Impact.
Double knock on the call, so I think this will go the way of Richmond. And yes, it will. Good to have Anthony Elliott running the show in the middle of the park for us today. Of course, former NRL touchy. Worked extensively at international level as well. So Moala with the feed. Comes out, links with Melicia Murray on the first instance. Setutu gets rid of one with a heck of a fend. Richmond now starting to really power through the middle of the park. They're making good yardage here, the Bulldogs. Down the right side they come again. Setutu holds it up. And who's that come off? Richmond feed. It's touched Northcote. Probably just as well they intervened there, though. Looked like there was something brewing out on that right edge for Richmond. And Troy, I just remarked on Richmond, just feel like they've probably found their groove now through the middle of the park, and their forward's starting to do some real damage.
Yeah, and they're certainly working in unison and, getting good offloads away. And certainly, on that edge at that time there, they were lucky that the ball went astray as Richmond now feed the scrum.
Moala comes back infield to Edward Kossi, the former Mangere East Hawk. Another member of the Warriors system. Limafa represented the Samoa residents under 20s a couple of years ago in that match against Auckland Māori. Melicia Murray, Moala, this is nice from Richmond. Setutu with a late offload, and this should be the first try, and it will be. Lovely stuff down the right-hand side from the Richmond Bulldogs. And Carlos Henry it is who finishes it. Setutu with a nice little touch in there, and it's Richmond on the board.
So the Sporting SAS replay here, and as Corey alluded to early in the piece, they shifted really well to the right-hand side. They went back that edge again. Nice little backdoor play there. 2 lots of cut-out passes, and really drew the player here, had enough strength to offload with an extra player on his outside. At that point, arms are up. She's 4 points, and went across the line untouched. Nice little try there. Good move. Just getting ready for the kick. Big shout out to Tim Connolly and the SAS Sporting Apparel team, thank you for the major sponsorship during 2020. And if you're looking for team gears, that's the place to go, ladies and gentlemen. Hit their website and make contact with one of the sales guys down there, and certainly, you know, design your own custom strip, and the team there will look after you.
Kick is away, which means it will remain the Waterview Laundromat Richmond Bulldogs 4, North City Reinforcing Limited Northcote Tigers 0. 11 minutes gone here at Birkenhead War Memorial Park, and Richmond, after probably first couple of sets where they didn't dent the line too much, chewing through the middle of Northcote that time, and then it was just class out on the edge to lodge the first points of the match. Setu Tu already showing his class. So back underway off the boot of Timothy Cook. Lamafa. Kalipo links back with Lafaeli through the middle. Told to go back and try that one again. And now we've got a bit. Well, there wasn't a lot in that.
Just as that momentum slowed up too, they are certainly shaping up to move back to the right-hand side. They're starting to like that side, I think, Corey.
Moala. Big contact on halfway. Kalipo. Now is that knocked on? Yes, it will be. So another knock on from Richmond, and pressure relieved on Northcote, who will pack down on halfway. Might have picked up comments there from Anthony Elliott. Let's focus on the footy. I don't know what that was really. So Tiaho feeds, and a bit of a push there from Richmond, which almost collapsed the scrum. Going old school today. Speaking of old school, happy birthday to Ronnie O'Regan. I believe he's celebrating his 60th down there in Paeroa tonight.
Big hit. And Ronnie was a big hit too in the old footy days. Happy birthday, mate.
Tuigamala bumps the ball forward. Tiaho. Matafutu, the ball comes spraying out. That was a hell of a hit from Lafaeli.
Good strong carry too by the Richmond second row.
Penalty to boot.
Good work.
A nice little 30-second period there. Lafaeli, he did not miss then. Strong carry from Tafutu. Ball comes out, and Northcote compound the error with a penalty, and Moala now will kick for touch. Sione Moala, who's been somewhat of a revelation at junior level for the Warriors since emerging there. Brilliant player in the SAS College Rugby League with St Paul's College as well. And I think this would be his first taste of First Division footy in Auckland. He played junior ranks, obviously, through the grades. Another penalty. So back-to-back infringements from Northcote. That time I think it's Shonkool who gets pinged, and now Lafaeli says we'll tap and go. Runs back and steals probably 15 metres before Northcote are able to take him down. They're 10 out from the line. Moala is set to the left. Kalipo to Moala. Moala goes short at the line, and Tuitama is set upon by Tiaho. Good defence from Northcote that time. Another penalty, and time off and a talking to.
You've got to lead by example, mate. Come on.
So Jordan Tiaho, who is also the captain, gets the talking to for 2 in a row, leading in with his head. So Richmond a chance to really build some pressure here. See on the back of the jerseys as well, different families and sponsors who have picked up jersey sponsorship for Richmond. Kalipo centralises Limafa, running hard at the line. They're up quickly. Sam McIntyre holding on for dear life, trying to prevent that offload. They lead by 4 here, Richmond, hunting their second try. Down the right side they come again, Melicia Murray. It takes 4 to bring him down, and they still don't get him completely down. Kalipo, dummies, goes over, held up initially, but I think he got there.
Waiting for the referee.
Yeah, we've got trouble on the ground because there was a Northcote player caught up. Elliott looks both ways and awards the try. And we'll get a look here on the CTAS replay. Just clever from Temple Kalipo here. Looks up, just spots those markers aren't quite there, and then has the strength to get over.
Yeah, and just at the end of that play there, he obviously bounced out of the tackle to get the ball to ground. Referee's right on the spot. And Richmond was certainly celebrating at this point. We've got 4 points on the board. And we're 16 odd minutes in. Great start for Richmond at this point.
You're looking really sharp. Another try down that right-hand corridor. Sione Moala to attempt the conversion. Significantly easier one than the first, which was right up against the touchline. Moala strikes and pushes it away to the right, so it remains the Waterview Laundromat Richmond Bulldogs 8. North City Reinforcing Limited, Northcote Tigers 0. 17 and a bit gone here at Birkenhead War Memorial Park, and it's Richmond in control so far.
Yeah, it's sort of, from mine, it'd be interesting to see how much time or length into this half before the bench comes into play. And Northcote has certainly got a pretty good looking bench over there, haven't they?
Yeah, they're doing probably a couple of, well, it's not a lightweight bench by any means, but Xavier Rice and Kevin Locke on there. They do have the opportunity to maybe speed things up around the ruck.
Young Lonergan too will present a handful for the Richmond side once he takes the park.
I'm sure if he's not in the crowd today, Dino will be watching. Shout out to Dean, watching the young fella take the field. Quick play the ball from Tuitama. Kalipo to Moala. Oh, it was on, but just could not quite bring it in that time, Edward Kossi. Sione Moala is causing all sorts of trouble down this left-hand edge.
Richmond causing Northcote a lot of stress. They're playing up tempo. You know, they've got a wee bit of momentum going. They're trying to keep that, I suppose, that pace, that rhythm going.
Yeah, they look a nicely balanced side, don't they? A couple of big, mean forwards who are getting things rolling, and then off the back of it, Kalipo, who's pretty quick out of dummy half. Moala stationed down one side, Setu too chiming in as well. So Tiaho feeds out, and Casey Smith is charged with the first carry, and it's straight into Temple Kalipo with Kossi coming in late. They do their best to slow it down. They spend a long time in there. And penalty. Well, you could hear Elliott calling him out. So Afu puts the ball into touch. Good crowd here at Birkenhead today. Sam McIntyre. Bumped and driven backwards. Shomkul lines up for a carry. Tapau dummied and then went himself. They're not far out here, Northcote. Trailing 8-0, 20 gone here. And the Tigers look for their first try. Well, Josiah Afu battling his way over. Thought for a second there he may have got underneath, but held up as the call. Josiah may have been doing his best to sell it, but there was no changing Elliott's mind on that one. Pretty clear cut. So play 4. Tamoti Cook sells him on the dummy, but then hit to ground. Afu to Tiaho, who has to reach high for it. Stone Dunn chimes in. Stone Dunn looks to get the offload away. Now, was that knocked on by Richmond? 6 again is the call. Unlucky that time for Richmond. It certainly wasn't an intentional looking thing, but did appear to be played at. So 6 more coming up now for the Tigers. Great call from Elliott. Afu jumps out. They work it through the middle of the park via Tafutu. Gets the offload away. Tuigamala, quick hands. Casey Smithson. Northcote hit back-to-back sets down that end of the park, and it's Casey Smith who finishes it after a nice carry from Matthew Tafutu through the middle, and the Tigers are on the board.
So good finish to this little passage of play here. And, had a wee bit of pressure on as they started to mount here. And look at this offload. 2-3 defenders on, managed to get it away. Nulu's there, nice little offload. Pops in the centre untouched. 4 points. Tigers are up and in. And I'm feeling a bit happier about that. 21 minutes gone.
Shout out to the Tigers' other sponsors as well. We've highlighted North City Reinforcing Limited, who are their major sponsor. But CCL Service and Solutions as well, which is Terry Donnelly. Novo Technical Services, which is Graham Norton, and the Good Home, Alan Vaughan. Of course, John Pike, the man at North City Reinforcing Limited. Got a whole lot of sponsors to the Northcote Tigers, thanks to the work of the likes of Mike Phillips. Spends that off-season going around local businesses and collecting as much as he can. And we'll probably get a nice shot of the scoreboard at some point as well, which displays all of those sponsors. As Josiah Afu attempts the conversion from about 2 metres in from the right-hand touchline. Strikes it, looks good off the boot, and is good all the way. So the gap is reduced to 2. 22 and a bit gone, and the Tigers hit back. Moala gets us back. Bouncing ball claimed by Stone Dunn. Trent Schomkel.
He's a handful.
He is indeed. He's been over with the Sunshine Coast Falcons, feeder club to the Melbourne Storm. Tafutu, a second rower of the year in the Fox last season. Playing in the middle today as a front rower. Tapau, monstered though on halfway, driven back. Afu, kicks from dummy half. Looping ball over the top. Setutu says, I'm going to watch this one. Has to make a play in the end, but bounces fortuitously into the breadbasket. Moala. Cossie with the carry. Quick play the ball for Kalipo. Carlos Henry, the second of the try scorers for Richmond. Melissa Murray comes back in field to Setutu. He's looking for an offload. Who did that come off? Northcote ball.
Very lucky there. Richmond were looking tidy at that point.
And a penalty, so it goes from bad to worse. There's a flop in there. Northcote now with the chance to look for touch.
Go to Peter, please.
Good kick off the boot from Afu. Pilly with the first carry. Shonkel driving those legs and takes Northcote to within 9 metres of the try line. Pressure on again here for Richmond. Afu to Tiaho. Tiaho stepping, comes back through the middle. Tapau looking to fight his way over. The ball's come loose. This will be play on. Brilliant defence from Richmond. No advantage, so they'll pack down a scrum, but looked for all money like he was going to get over the line there, and then Richmond come up with the goods, force the ball loose, and survive another prolonged period of pressure.
Yeah, and it's good to see the Tigers back down here in regards to, you know, they got a try on. It was pretty much going Richmond's way as far as momentum was concerned, and all of a sudden now, Tigers are in the territory and having a crack.
Everybody in. Last man binding. Northcote, arms around. When you're ready, Carl. Right! Steady up! Stand up with the ball, that's one. That's two.
Good carry from Glenazina there, taking them forward, this Richmond pack. Motoring today. Kalipo to Moala. Moala comes back to Tuitama. Tuitama gets rid of the first one and goes again. Lafaeli.
Great leaders.
Kalipo to Melisea Murray. Launches a high one. Pressure on here for Stone Dunn as Waka looks to run interference, and that's a really good take from Machu Stone Dunn under plenty of pressure. Waka now will look to ruck this ball forward. Be interesting if they keep Kolaka on the wing for the whole game or look to bring him infield. Could spend a little bit of time in the halves or even probably as a middle forward for a short period. Probably the kind of player that you want getting as many touches as possible. It's a good carry from James Waterson, who's still going, although told to go back and play it. Tamoti Cook back in field to Trent Shonkel. He's having a very solid game so far. Last play coming up now. Afu will kick from the bottom of the ruck. Ball rolling down and got sort of a little awkwardly left initially by Michael McKinnon, but then brought in Henry. Met head on by Afu. Ball loose, but strippers the call. 28 and a half gone. It is the Waterview Richmond Bulldogs who lead 8 points to 6 over the North City Reinforcing Limited Northcote Tigers. Good little game in the making here.
They've been so clinical around the ruck today with their guys both left and right. Big fellas running off the dummy half. Good communication.
Fresh legs on the park in the shape of Antonio Fire as well as Moala goes back infield. Chopped down nicely by Tiaho. Tackle still up their sleeve here, Richmond. Moala links with Setu too. Two gets rid of the first one. Wants an offload, and Jordan Tiaho, who has put himself about nicely in defence, again comes to the rescue. Looping ball back to the middle. Kalipo will kick in behind. He's chasing his own kick, but Northcote will watch it dead. Waka will come back out. Tap on the 20, and now it is Northcote back on the attack. So the bench now starting to come into it for both teams. Some fresh legs on the park. On in the background there, that looks like Liam Lonergan getting his boarding pass. Down the left it goes, Robert Tapau. Afu had Lonergan on his shoulder, instead went and then finds the offload to Timothy Cook. Tiaho, Tuigamala gets rushed but flicks the ball out the back, and now Casey Smith weaves his way through for a few extra metres. Nice football from Northcote, who are looking to promote the ball. Waterson. A tackle still to play with here, but Timothy Cook will kick, and an awkward one fielded nicely by Setu too. Tiaho, though, I think may have led with the knee there. It's going to be called a high tackle. He's been in strife a few times already today, Jordan Tiaho. Rice onto the field now as well. 13, who can also play in a little bit of dummy half. He's been overseas, spent a bit of time in London. I think at one stage there with the London Broncos. Or fire. Charging those legs. Antonio on the charge. Finds an offload as well. Setu too looming in support. Starting to look very dangerous now. Richmond off the back of these big boys. Kalipo goes to the line. Player down in the background for Richmond. Last play coming up now. Tuigamala does his best to slow things down. Annandale kicks in behind. Waka is on hand and will field it. Bring it straight back. That looked high. And it was. So penalty out of trouble now for the Northcote Tigers. As you mentioned, Troy, there is a player down. It's Antonio Ofaya, and he's leaving the field. So that is a real shame. His first couple of carries were excellent, and he's nursing a heavy limp there. Let's hope that is nothing too serious. It's not a knee, but straight off the field.
Should have grabbed for his hammy.
In the meantime, Northcote kick for touch. Waka brings it back. Lonergan. Rice to Tapau. Nice strong carry. Rice is playing dummy half. Tiaho is back in field. Afu, Josiah Afu goes close. Setu arrives just in time. They got numbers on them here. Northcote looking to play up tempo. Rice will clear the ruck, goes out towards the left-hand side. Tiaho will go very close. Arriving just in time was Annandale to stop it. Rice to Lonergan. And handover ball. Well done, Richmond. Superb goal line defence. They threw plenty at them that time, the Northcote Tigers. Waiki Annandale arriving just in time to stop Jordan Tiaho. Setu with a big defensive play in there as well. So Richmond now to work it off their own line. Get the line speed from the Tigers. Looking to fence them in.
Yes, Tuigamala's looking trim. He's actually been doing some work during lockdown.
Penalty Richmond. Lonergan it is who's ruled to have infringed.
Richmond have done extremely well, carrying it out from inside the 10.
Shout out to Richmond's other major sponsors, Stephen Glicina of LJ Hooker, Ponsonby and Mickey B Fitness Gym as well, who support Waterview Laundromat as the principal sponsors of the Premier team. And of course, as we mentioned, the different sponsors and families on the back of the jerseys. As Edward Cossey breaks through the first one, goes through another one to beat Edward Cossey. Oh, individual brilliance. Edward Cossey looked up, beat the first one, and then from there, just went on a wrecking mission, really, weaving his way through and fending away from would-be tacklers for a really nice try, which stretches the Richmond lead.
And this is all off the back of just tremendous momentum coming out of the half, and they just kept going at high tempo. And this really then created a fantastic opportunity. And at this point, just an outstanding try, went through 3-4 defenders and really caught everybody on the hop. And 4 points next to the SAS upright there. And the only one next to him was the half. He's still waiting for the rest of the team to catch up. Here they come now. Nice little dink to 2 points.
So Moala adds 2 more. Waterview Laundromat, Richmond Bulldogs 14, North City Reinforcing Limited, Northcote Tigers 6, with just under 4 to play in the first half. Kevin Locke looks like he's getting his entry into the game as well.
It's certainly going to change the dynamics of the Northcote attack.
Did see Jordan Tiaho run straight for the sideline after that try, so we'll just try and figure out what the reshuffle is. Cole Walker, in the meantime, has gone and got more strapping added to that face. You now almost actually can't see his face over there on the left edge.
There's a few boys with a bit of strapping, headbands, 2, 3.
So it looks like Kevin Locke will slot into the halves with Tiaho, I think, off the field. Melicia Murray. It's back out to the right. Xavier Rice getting through plenty of defence early on. Annandale to Henry. Henry looking to weave, but Timothy Cook is onto it defensively. Melicia Murray. Big contact. And driven back. Moala launches a high one. Stone Dunn is under it. Takes it uncontested.
Good hands.
Good under the high ball so far today. Machu Stone Dunn, as I mentioned earlier, the former Richmond man. Waterson. And Waterson gets out of the first one. Goes again. Ian Mills now onto the park for Richmond. Casey Smith. Toigamala, they're going to earn the penalty here. Offside is the call. Not long to go in the first half here, and Northcote with a chance to strike right on half-time. 1 minute to play in the half by our count. Waka to Sam McIntyre. Richmond do a good job getting him onto his back just to slow things down. Afu to Tapau. Rice is the first receiver. Goes backdoor to Locke. Locke to Stone Dunn. Numbers on the right edge here. James Waterson. Northcote are in. A second one for the Tigers. Again down that right-hand edge. Kevin Locke involved, and James Waterson notches another try for season 2020. Nicely worked there from the Tigers, and they strike right on half-time.
Good to see. They've quick visit down here into the Bulldogs territory, and they turn it into points. And no sooner Lockett come on, basically linking out to the right-hand edge here. Nice clean set of hands. Waterson open territory there, and you can't afford to give that man any space. 4 points. Once again, big thanks to SAS Sporting Apparel and our live stream partner CTAS, and Goal Action brought to you by Pete's Filming. Sorry about that one, Pete. And all of the replays we have up on our ARL TV channel, and to get to that, go to the aucklandleague.co.nz. We have the links through there to our YouTube Rugby League action.
So Josiah Afu with the conversion. Similar spot from the first one. And it's away, even though we didn't quite get vision of that one on our screen there. So half time. It is the Waterview Laundromat Richmond Bulldogs who lead this one 14 points to 10 over the North City Reinforcing Limited Northcote Tigers. A short break for us before we resume with the second half action here at Birkenhead War Memorial Park. You're joining us for round 3 of the SAS Fox Memorial Premiership. Back soon. Dowie, quick hands, numbers here. Mangere East will open the scoring. Play given, probably struggling to get out of their own end a little bit. So Devery will have the first carry. Here's a test for the Hawks. Miski is the dummy half, looking back towards centre field. Big crowd in, as always here at Jack Colvin, Isaac Miski. Hook, line and sinker carry. Dowie doing his absolute best. Did he do too much to slow that down? Play on is the call. Miski jumps out. He's got them again. Oh, Isaac Miski. He's having a field day out of dummy half. His second try in the space of 27 minutes. And he just makes it look all too easy. The Roosters jump out to a 10-4 lead. Kick to come. Tua. Backdoor. Oh, beautiful. Whairangi Charlie it is that scores it. Our camera angle probably didn't quite give us the best view of that one, but that was nicely constructed from the Te Aotu Roosters. Pete to Tua. Tua goes to Cheney Puata. Cheney Puata shakes out a one. He's in the clear space now. Inu's on his shoulder. Inu brings it in, juggles it, and Te Aotu in again. The Roosters in for another one. So back into it now. Brown, the first receiver, goes over the top. Limone, looping ball out wide, and Mangere East hit back. Morgan Missy for it is, who goes over. Try on the left-hand edge here, who arrived just in time out on the edge. Johnson has to pick up the bouncing ball. Here's Sadabi, who will just take a settler towards the middle of the park. Last coming up now, Maipi goes to his right, links with Inu. Ball over the top. Dyer steps off the right. Dyer pops the ball. Taulu! 4 points for Cortez. Rawoody's the dummy half. Howie Brown spots up. Shakes out a one. Howie Brown! Nice work from Howie Brown. Hits back. Will reduce the deficit again. And really just individual brilliance. Miski. Looping ball back towards the middle to Tua. Inu, ball over the top, look out, Taulu! Another one for Cortez. Te Aotu celebrate. Low, taken down just short. Delaney Cheney Puata with the crucial intervention. Nicholas Halalilo
will clear the ruck. Comes back to the middle. Wasn't expecting that one, perhaps. Battling his way over, and I think Magnees have hit back. They have indeed. Siren goes in the background. Last play of the game. Miski jumps out. They might have a bit of fun here, the Te Arotu Roosters. Miski still running. He'll want to get an offload away if he can, and does so. Pops it out to Inu. Space now on the right-hand side. One more for the Roosters. Is it Devery holding it up? Taulu was close in the corner. Has Cortez got a hat-trick? Yes, he has. Cortez Taulu scores one more.
Right now joined by James Daly, captain of the Mangarees Hawks. Well, James, dare I say, a fairly familiar story today. Glimpses of brilliance in there, but just couldn't quite put it together consistently.
Yeah, it also comes down to hardly enough of us to play together. We just got to turn up Tuesday, Thursday, get back to the drawing board. Yeah.
Jared, another big win in the end there. What's the most pleasing point of that one?
I think first half, we completed a lot of good sets, and it was just back-to-back sets, which was good. We definitely wanted to work on that coming from last week's game where first half we were just not completed enough. So I think today we definitely ticked that box, and then that second half, it sort of started to get a little bit sloppy there. So still some things that we've got to fix up, but good signs. So.